Hello everyone, this is our presentation for Olympia Activewear. My name is Lyric and my team members are Sam and Caroline. We are excited to present our final work to you.
So we do want to open up with just a little bit about what Olympia Activewear and athleisure is. So athleisure can be defined as casual, comfortable clothing designed to be suitable for both exercise and everyday wear. Leggings, sports bras, general things that you just decide you're going to run to the store in. So we are in the athleisure era, and there are plenty of companies making waves, as the question suggests, but our marketing plan will analyze the overall consumer attitudes towards Olympia Activewear and determine initial needs and recommendations necessary for growing the brand. We'll also include valuable information regarding the most popular brands in the athleisure sector today. A little about Olympia Activewear itself. It was created on the pillars of strength and femininity by the founder and Maui native Kaylee Shear, focused on designing modern and refined fitness wear for the active body in mind. Each collection contains premium sportswear styles ranging from custom athletics, versatile cotton basics, and cotton lounge pieces. While sport and style aesthetics are the root of design, clean line silhouettes and neutral palette are a constant theme for each collection. And a little bit about the company. It's obviously Haiku, Hawaii is its P.O. box, but its main mailing address. They have roughly 12 employees, and they made $2.4 million last year. And they're in the textile and apparel, consumer goods, and manufacturing industries.
In this section, the target market and segmentation for Olympia Activewear will be highlighted. And there are statistics and demographics provided in order to contextualize the company's market. The main target audience for Olympia Activewear is the millennial female, ages 25 to 35. And they're middle class, high level of education, so a bachelor's or a master's degree or higher. They're highly social and active, and they know how to have a great balance at work, health, and home life. So this target market is very vibrant, very exciting, and moves a lot. So this is perfect for Olympia Activewear. So we found a really great resource in Forbes that spoke specifically about our target market for Olympia. And I'll just highlight a few of the sentences. It says the largest demographic in the U.S. is comprised of 28% of the population, and that is the relaxed millennial. And then there's 72% of millennials prefer to spend their money on experiences rather than material things. So if the Olympia Activewear consumer is more interested in the experience, then they're most likely going to buy clothing that's comfortable, reusable, and simplistic so that they can use it on the go. So things that can be compact, leggings, sports bras, things that they can move in and hike and go do fun things in. So the market size is around 44 billion within the US. So that's the amount of money that can be made off of the target consumer. And it has a predicted growth that almost doubles by 2020 to 83 billion. So it's a 3.4 increase that has been seen since 2016 and 2017. So I'm interested, and I'm sure you would be interested to see what the increase for this segment would be.
In the following section, we'll take a look at a few of our customer profiles. So these are people that we believe are going to be the ones to purchase our actual products and what they look like in everyday life. First up, we have Josephine, who is 37 from Santa Barbara, California. She's a stay-at-home mom. Her interests are spin and nonprofit entities. She's active on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So what makes Josephine special is she's obsessed with all things empowering and influential. She could be seen as a trendsetter, or even, I say this lightly, despite her age at 37, she is still a trendsetter. She has recently sold her spin studio to be a full-time stay-at-home mom for her 3 beautiful children. She's been following Olympia since their inception and has even sold products at her old spin studio. While Olympia completely consumes her athleisure wardrobe, she has the perfect mix and match between each collection since the color palette remains neutral. She's always trying to discover new ways to wear her leggings, sports tops, and newly acquired lounge collection since she's no longer in the studio 24/7, but bouncing between her kids' activities and the nonprofit she volunteers for, which help young women journey to become entrepreneurs.
Naomi, she is age 32. She lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, and she is a financial analyst. Her income is $62,000, and she really finds interest in fitness, hiking, and culture-enhancing activities. Her social media platform of choice is going to be Instagram. And then why does she choose Olympia? Naomi loves her job, but she also knows that work-life balance is necessary in order for her to really enjoy her life, given her field is pretty high stress. She's confident in her appearance, but loves to experience an aerial yoga class on Thursday evenings and hike on most weekends. So she's known as a thrill seeker who loves to empower people around her, but she also wants to push her own limits. So she's heavily involved in community events throughout Charlotte, ranging from museum fundraisers to volunteering at the women's shelter. That way she really gets a well-rounded experience, and she knows what exactly is going on in her community, but also in herself. She loves Olympia because of the versatility and the quality of materials, but she also knows that she can maintain her confidence in herself and her clothing no matter what the activity.
So Annie is age 22. She's from Dallas, Texas, and she's an online journalist, which is a hip, fun type of lifestyle to have. So it's very flexible. Her interests are fashion, fitness, and social networking. So you're going to see a lot of her posting on Instagram and Facebook, what she's doing, how she's doing it, and what she's doing in. So she would wear her Olympia leggings and maybe her Olympia bra with a cool pair of Adidas, her headphones, and rock out and blog about her really, really comfy Olympia Activewear outfit because she's really focused on fashion. So this is a consumer that we really, really love.
Catherine is 35 years old. She lives in Chicago, Illinois, and her occupation is a nurse practitioner. So her income is going to be a little bit higher than our other profiles, and she makes $115,000. Her interests include health, outdoor activities, and being able to travel. Her primary mode of social media is going to be Facebook. Why does Catherine choose Olympia? She chooses Olympia because she had spent the majority of her life in school, but she also has this unquenchable wanderlust. And she usually takes a few weeks off throughout the year to travel the world and experience cultures outside of Chicago. She loves the experience of the outdoor through morning jogs, playing in the park with her pup, or by watching her husband's rugby matches. Olympia is a subtle shift from her Lululemon leggings, but she was continually looking for something that was a little bit more fashion-oriented, and she wanted to also remain neutral so that way she could mix and match between her brands. Catherine loves the potential for layering with her pieces, so that way she can really still be able to use her full range of her old and new gear. And she's really excited because next on her list is a yoga retreat in Thailand. Throughout this project, we really wanted to make sure that we understood our target market. So initially, we did a primary research survey that was conducted through SurveyMonkey, but we presented it through social media outlets, including Instagram and Twitter, because we felt like this was a way that we could really reach that target audience. The majority of our participants were females in their mid-20s, and the ethnicities of Asian, Caucasian, and African American. Our reach were 39 people over the span of 4 days. So next we're just going to kind of go into each question and see how exactly our consumers reacted, or how our respondents reacted rather. How often do you use activewear products? This was just kind of to see how often people would be able to use our products if they were to choose Olympia. And the vast majority said 2 to 3 times per week, which is a substantial number because that is at least, almost 50% of their time. The next question was, when thinking of activewear, what brands come to mind? And this was not surprising at all, but it was enlightening because we got to see that Nike, Adidas, and Athleta were still the top consumers, as well as Lululemon. So basically we just threw in Olympia to see if anyone had kind of heard of the brand yet. And obviously 1% is the only one that really thinks of Olympia whenever they thinking of activewear, which is what we want to change. Next up, what activities do you participate in activewear? So athleisure is something that we've talked about before. So this is really where we wanted to see if people are actually using the products for leisure or if they're using it more for active activities. So we got to see that the majority of people are using them for leisure. And then next it would be cardio and then weight training. So this was very interesting because we got to see exactly how the participants would be using our products, so that we will know how to market the products towards them. How often do you participate in these activities? Again, this was just to kind of see how we were able to really know how often people would be using them. So here again, we have 2 to 3 times per week, and then over 5 times per week, which would really, obviously that's the majority of time for people. Next up we have, which of the following brands have you heard of? So this one was really to see how niche brands were adding up, to really see, if people knew about Olympia, but it wasn't just who they thought of, or if Olympia wasn't even on the radar. So here we saw that basically Olympia is not on the radar, but that more mass market, like Fabletics and Lulu Grey, are really able to expand that because those have the backing of a celebrity and then another company with Ann Taylor for Lulu and Grey. Ala is still a growing company, and although it's a niche brand, it still has 26% of that kind of awareness, which is really interesting. So then we can kind of build on all of those aspects in order to create our objectives. Then where do you collect your information about activewear products? This was really so we would know where people were consuming their information and which ones they found more valid. So for us, obviously social media is number one, but then it's followed by friends and family and consumer reviews. So what we did was we focused on seeing exactly what our customer reviews would bring about, so that way we could kind of tailor that in order for our marketing later. And then social media is obviously one of the most important means for getting your story out there and being able to have people know about your brand and creating a two-way communication. What is most important when selecting an activewear brand? For this, I kind of figured it would be comfort since most people are using it for leisure, but it was interesting because that way we know exactly how to market the product and exactly where to show people that it can be comfortable and it can be functional, but it can also be fashionable. And I think that those three aspects are really what's key to Olympia and what's key for the consumer to know. Then which products do you use the most in your activewear collection? Leggings and bottoms was the vast majority, with 64%. And this was able to really know that our consumer, while they may wear a top from somewhere else, they can still wear our leggings. So we'll be able to really understand and target those key products towards people, where we can focus more on certain product shots if necessary for marketing. And then another aspect that we wanted to know is how important the brand story is. So this here was definitely very enlightening because it was neutral. So what I assumed going into this is that it would be very important. So that way we would talk about Kayla and her story, which is the founder of Olympia. But instead, finding out that it's neutral really meant that we could focus on the product more rather than the brand story. And then finally, when did you first hear about Olympia Activewear? 73% said during the survey. So that obviously tells us that our brand awareness is very lacking, especially in this target demographic range. Overall, after conducting the survey, it became clear that most respondents were unaware of Olympia Activewear. However, many were aware of the mass market competitors, including Lululemon, Adidas, Nike, Athleta, Blue & Gray, and Fabletics. The majority of them value the information that's collected through social media, which that means that social platforms are a great opportunity for Olympia to target the consumer through sponsored advertisements focusing on the quality of products offered. Most respondents typically used activewear for both leisure and working out, so this fits the brand's objective of maintaining comfort through all activities.
Another form of primary research we conducted were interviews. And to find interviewees, what we did was send social media messages to people that we already knew to see if they would be willing to participate. And what we were really looking for these in-person interviews was what women actually wanted out of activewear and athleisure, and what draws them to the brands that they use currently. We could have used a survey for this, but because answers are going to vary so much, it was better just to take physical notes on what people in person wanted to say. And these were mostly conducted via short coffee meetings or on the phone around the Atlanta area. So just to go over the interview questions briefly, we'll talk about a couple of them, such as to what extent would you say you're a consumer of activewear? And we asked this to see if the people we were interviewing were actually the same as the customers we were looking for. If you have a brand that you buy from, what draws you to these instead of opposing brands? And we wanted to see whether or not convenience, fashion, or a mixture of things is what drew them to the brand they're currently utilizing. And then where do you see or learn the most about new products available? And we kind of asked this in the survey, but we wanted to get a more in-depth look of what these social media presences and what these online reviews look like to real people. We'll also briefly go over 5 of the interviewees that we had out of a total of 10. The first one up is Adriana. She's someone that utilizes activewear basically every day, whether she's at work or at the gym or just lounging around at home. And her preferred brand is Victoria's Secret, so we know that maybe the gym isn't top list of her priorities, and something more along the lines of comfort is what she's looking for. And then she doesn't really follow any brands on social media, and for the most part only hears about new products through her email list that she's already been signed up for via an in-store representative. Next up we have Lauren, and she's kind of an anomaly in our interview because she already had an active athletic contract with Adidas. So she is a runner for them post-collegiately, and so she can only wear them currently, but has worn other athletic brands in the past. So we wanted to get her insight from that perspective. And when we asked her if she was going to change brands, such as being signed with someone else, what would she look for? She really looked for something that was comfortable and she could wear for longer runs because she's a distance runner. So something that was going to hold up and, not create any chafing or excess wear as she's doing her runs. Next on the list is Michaela, and Michaela is a college-age student. And we asked her, to what extent are you using activewear? And she said it's basically just at home. She said she works most of the time, so she doesn't have a lot of chance to go out and wear it to the gym or out in public. Then we asked, when considering a new brand other than what she's wearing currently, which is Nike and Lululemon, she said she only buys clothes sometimes, like online, and only if she's 100% sure of the size. So because currently Olympia Activewear is so online, we may need to get a way such as Zara's new tool where people can tell you, I bought a medium, it fit, I bought mediums elsewhere, and they're very similar. On to Caitlin. Caitlin is also college age. She's a graduate student around Atlanta. And when we asked her, what makes her buy from her perceived or her preferred brand, She said there's nothing that really draws her to one brand or another. Just when she's out and something looks nice, if she tries it on and it fits, that's something that she'll pick up, which is kind of key for Olympia as a brand, because a lot of our clothing is not basic, but they are basics, so that they're very one color, two colors, and can be worn with just about anything. So we need to think about whether or not Olympia can introduce something outside of our basics line to attract these type of customers. Finally, we have Connie on our list, and this is someone who has just graduated, so she's entry level out in the workforce now. And she says she stays active a lot and just utilizes Fabletics because of her busy schedule. So for those that are not familiar with Fabletics, they're a subscription service that once or twice a month will just deliver new clothing straight to your door. And as we see, Connie says she hasn't used another brand in so long that there wouldn't really be anything that would make her change unless there's something that is cheaper or fits/feels better than her current Fabletics wear. So when we're dealing with customers like this, we may want to think about maybe not joining forces, but being a part of subscription services that let you sample different brands so that we can ease our way into new customers' closets. So after looking at these 5 and then the 5 that aren't listed, we did have 3 major takeaways from the interviews. And the first is that comfortability beats out just about everything for 9 out of 10 women. If it's not something comfortable, then they're just not going to purchase it. And then secondly, they want an item that's going to last, especially for our women that are into athletics or into working out. Something that they can only wear for a couple months and then wears out because of the way people stretch or run isn't something that they want to spend money on. And then third is that you have to have a combination of price and availability. So it's okay if we have upper end or upper tier pricing in the $75, $85, $100 range, as long as when they go to purchase it, it's there and ready for them. So when we're only in 13 or 14 boutique stores across the US and people can't access our product, they're just not going to go out of their way to find it.
So taking a look at our online customer reviews, Olympia Activewear is carried by multiple e-commerce retailers. It's distributed domestically and internationally, so the brand reaches a wide range of consumers. The main customer reviews that we found online came from Carbon 38 and Revolve, and there were varying attitudes towards the brand and the products sold. So the sizing was an issue for one of the customers with Revolve, and then there was, for the most part, positive reviews about the sizing fitting perfectly. It was comfortable. It was a no-fuss process to purchase. So the company had an overall good review when it came to online comments. The main highlight that I would say is looking at the true to size and the curves that some women have outside of the models that are wearing the actual garments. I think that the company is going to have to look at what the quality and what the audience is for their garments to make sure that no one is not preconceiving that the sizing will be for their body type.
For some recommendations and takeaways from our overall research, we did have 5 key factors we wanted to discuss that would move forward into building our strategies and objectives later on. The first of these things is taking all of this information that we've gathered both first and second hand and deciding that Olympia needs to be more aggressive in social media marketing and make bigger impacts on the consumers that are available. Because it's such a large market, it's very easy to niche out, a few 100,000 people that could really be consumers for Olympia, but they have to go out and garner those customers first. And to do this, we need to increase followership on social media platforms, and we can do this by issuing challenges and trend watching. Challenges in the fitness community are something that people really hit on. So if we're doing 300 miles in 30 days for our runners, or adding 10 pounds to your max right now in the next 2 weeks, or something in a healthy way, and then hashtagging it, and whoever makes it the furthest or shows the greatest change from start to end, wins a free pair of leggings or sports bra. And that's one way to really get people talking about us as a brand. And then once we've done a few of these, it's easy to evaluate which ones consumers were drawn to the most. And those are the types of posts we're going to want to repeat. And those are the consumers that we're going to really reach and create long-term customers from. And the last two are build content that'll drive consumers to retailers, and then take reviews from the retailers we're a part of now and apply them to the production process, because quality control is something that all of the women we talk to were really avid about. SWOT analysis and strategic implications are important to any brand, but to give you a brief overview of what a SWOT analysis does, it takes a brand and makes them look at their strengths, their weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and really have a heart-to-heart with themselves about what can they do to improve themselves from both an internal and an external point of view. Here's just a brief overview of our SWOT analysis, and we'll go strengths and opportunities because they connect to one another, and then we'll talk about our weaknesses and threats because they connect. So for our strengths, they were an early adopter, one of the first all athleisure brands to come out right before the trend really took off. Because of that, they do have some high-profile advertising connections already with magazines such as Vogue and Shape. They have a strong brand story. It's not showcased as well as it could be currently, but it is there. And then they do have a timeless style. When you purchase a pair of leggings or a top from Olympia Athletic, it's something you'll be able to wear for years to come, and it's not going to go out of style next week. So for their opportunities, they could expand their branding as one of the first athleisure companies, utilize advertising connections across new media such as Vogue Online, Shape Online, bring the brand story to the forefront. When we did our research, the brand story wasn't super effective in changing people's minds to buy the brand, but social media does really love a good story. And then perhaps can include some trendy styles as seasonal capsules just to branch out to customers that don't normally purchase our items. And then weaknesses and threats. Currently, we don't have much of an online presence. We have less than 40,000 followers on Instagram. The store presence, we're only in 13 or so stores, and they're all boutique style. Because we have a timeless style, we're missing out on large overarching trends. And advertising, even with our magazine partners, has been slow over the last 8 months. Next, we have threats. Other brands are expanding online at an enormous rate, and we're really missing out on that business. Lululemon, Athleta, and other companies have whole stores dedicated to just athleisure, and they're not in boutique styles. There's begun to be differentiation within the athleisure market. There are people that just buy for looks. There are people that just buy for running, just for tennis, just for their particular sport. And we're just athletic wear right now. And then finally, advertising increasing or has been increasing for online competitors. You see this just about everywhere on social media nowadays. Snapchat's new advertising system, Instagram's new advertising system has really given ways for these companies to seamlessly integrate themselves into everyday lives. As we just discussed, strengths and opportunities and weaknesses and threats kind of go hand in hand. So in the following little slides here, we'll have context put into each one so that they're more robust. To go in a little more depth for each of the portions of the SWOT analysis, here we have strengths. So as we said earlier, Olympia Activewear is one of the first full-fledged athleisure companies. They were launched in 2014, just before the trend took off. We've worked with companies such as Vogue, Women's Health, and Shape. We were on the cover of all of these magazines, and we've had stories about us in each. The company has a strong brand story and mission as for women, by women, which is incredibly empowering in today's environment. And then the colors and patterns are pure, yet modern and elegant, which fit into just about any consumer's closet. When we talked about connecting strengths and opportunities, what you'll see is our strengths are our opportunities and places we can grow and really be the best in the market. So we should talk about how we were one of the first athleisure companies to come around. We've been doing this a while. We know what we're doing. You should buy from us because we've had a lot of work at this. And then we have these contracts or these relationships with places such as Vogue and Shape and Women's Health. And not only do they just have print marketing, they also have blogs and websites and Instagrams and social media accounts that we should be a part of too. And we need to reach out to them and talk about how we can help them help us. And because the brand story is so empowering, that should be at the forefront of all of our messaging. And as you can see with this top right image, Olympia is written all over this sports bra, but perhaps on something like the side of our leggings, we put hashtag for women, by women. And then finally, by creating capsule collections that aren't, they're not entire seasonal wear, maybe 4 or 5 pieces every season, just so if someone doesn't want a basic item, they can get something that's a little more on top of today's trends. Next, we have weaknesses, and weaknesses are going to be like our strengths to our threats. So these are just some things that we're missing now, and then threats are how the companies around us and the environment of athleisure as a whole is moving along while we may not be. So for weaknesses, we only have 2 big name companies carrying our product right now, and that's Net-a-Porter and Free People. We're only in 30 stores stateside. They're all boutique style. And then while our timeless looks can reach everybody, because anybody can wear something that's all black or all gray or all olive, it doesn't really reach quite everybody in the athleisure market as far as taste go. Anyone can wear it, but not everybody wants to wear that. And then we're currently in the middle of our longest magazine cover drought since the company's founding. When we were founded in 2014, we were on a cover within 4 months. And now we've gone 8+ months without being on anybody's cover. And finally, we have threats. And like we said, these are what other companies around us are doing that are threatening us as an existence and could put us out of business. So other companies are heavily investing into short micro trends that only last a month or two. And these companies have great relationships with suppliers that are getting them, let's say, from Honduras to Florida in a matter of weeks rather than months. And then companies are investing into whole retail stores, not just part of a boutique or a department store. So like we said earlier, Athleta, Lululemon, Nike has their own stores, and they're all dedicated just to athletic wear, whereas we're in a store that also sells dresses and shoes or party shoes or everyday shoes rather than just athletic wear. And then athleisure is evolving into different segments based upon use, not one size fits all anymore. And we talked about this earlier as well. People are buying clothes for their sport. If you're a CrossFit person, you're looking for a very particular type of shoe or leggings or top. Or if you're a runner, that's different. Or if you play tennis, that's different again. And some people just want it for the way it looks. So like the item we have on the screen here, maybe someone that's just looking for athletic wear that looks good and might not necessarily be playing a sport in it. And then finally, online retailers such as Fabletics are ramping up their advertising to pry away in-store sales. And basically what this means is they're going on Instagram and they're going on Snapchat and they're being in everybody's eye right now, and they said, hey, you hate driving to a store, we hate driving to a store, let us send you something, and if you don't like it, send it back and we'll get you something that does. And we're really missing that online component right now. So our SWOT has led us to some strategic implications that we believe the brand needs to focus on going from 2018 into the future. So the first thing is they must imagine branding for 2018 and beyond. Currently, we can't see any cohesive branding strategy, and that's going to be incredibly important. So they need to remain staple driven because that's their business, but they also need to focus on customer awareness, and that includes branching out into those capsule collections that attract more than just staple driven buyers. Then we have increasing our digital presence to keep up with competitors, like we just talked about with Lululemon and Athleta and other brands that are really, really going hard on social media. We need to play catch up to that. 40,000 followers on Instagram isn't going to keep us afloat. And then finally, we should consider more inclusive models and the addition of technology to current offerings. And what we mean by this is the body positive movement is huge right now, and accepting women for no matter what shape, size, color they are. And all of our models are your typical white, younger female in great shape and overall attractive to one type of person. And then when we say add technology to current offerings, a lot of our competitors such as Adidas and Nike are creating items that when you hook up your phone to them, it'll tell you how far you've run, what your heartbeat is. And without that, we're just $100 piece of clothing that looks good, which is okay for some people, but we really need something to attract more customers to us.
Next up, we have our perceptual map and notes. The following section really shows how Olympia Activewear's position within the athleisure market and more information on its top competitors. So what we have here is a perceptual map that's really focusing on fashion and performance as two pillars, and low quality and high quality as the other two axes. We really wanted to show where we felt like a lot of athleisure brands are along the spectrum. Lululemon and Athleta are pretty similar in quality and pretty similar in it being performance or fashion based, whereas we have Nike that's performance based and high quality based. So we felt like the Olympia focused in high quality, but also is more on the fashion side of performance. Just a little bit about each company. So as you know, Adidas is a long-standing historical brand of sport and performance. They are really rooted in that everything that they do is sport-based, but they're constantly evolving, and they were one of the first mass market brands to really consider athleisure as a trend, which is when they collaborated with Y3. And then they also are still bringing fashion forward performance gear and really making sure that it's not only based on just being performance, but also that there's fabrication, construction, and sizing that is more fashion based, which also is leading to an inconsistency within their brand. Alliance is a European-based newcomer. It was actually born out of the desire to create quality garments, which could also transition to functional for the gym or fashionable and everyday, which is why they are considered more within the fashion realm. But also, they really wanted to make sure that the stitching and fabrication and sizing is consistent. They are also going with innovative practices to eliminate waste. Ala is a women's fashion brand that bases up the ideas of balance and strength. And they really focused on making sure that the consumer could input some in within their designs, so that they actually have custom abilities to really show how people can influence their own clothing. Next up, we have Athleta. Athleta is a member of the Gap Inc. family, and it specializes in women's athletic wear and the power of she. It also has some need for some upgrades because there are some sizing issues with it having some issues with the leggings being sheer or not appropriate for the gym. Fabletics is a subscription-based service which was founded by Kate Hudson, so that's why a lot of people know about it, and it is considered mass market. But they also have curated collections which are plagued with inconsistent sizing and materials, which really leads to them being on the lower quality spectrum. Linder is a London-based company that specializes in women's athletic wear, and it actually prides itself on creating garments that have technical fabric and innovative seams with maximized comfort, which is something that obviously the consumer is looking for. And then they both are really making sure that they kind of are on the performance side with those seaming, but a common complaint for them is that the sizing is smaller and it's attributed to the compression attributes, but still people are kind of hesitant to dive in. Next up, we have Lou & Grey. Lou & Grey is a member of the Ann Inc. family, which is Ann Taylor Loft, those brands. And what it really focuses on is being able to have the consumer go from being part of the business meeting to being part of kind of the comfort at home. So what's really important to note about this is that with their quality, the sizing is also inconsistent. People are kind of worried about the fabrication because it has apparently gone downhill according to consumer reviews. Lululemon is both men and women's clothing. As you know, it's based on a community-based mission, and it started in Canada. It has really been designed for yoga, but has grown into a clothing brand that's not only for yoga, but also as a lifestyle brand. And they really are having an issue with the sheer storm. I'm sure the majority of you all know that Lululemon had a little bit of a PR mishap a few years ago, that their leggings were known as being sheer and not really useful for any of the activities that they were hoping they would be able to be used for. But this has improved over time, but still a lot of people are still weary, which is why it's still within the middle of that quality range. Nike is a US-based company that specializes initially in athletic sneakers, but then has moved into core products that are used for other activities. And Nike is one of the leaders in performance products, which is why they are based more in the performance sector than the fashion sector, because a lot of their products are really meant to go either from the gym to hiking to those high impact workouts. Whereas some of our other ones, like Victoria's Secret, are known for being more of a leisure brand, and this is kind of something that the company is struggling with because a lot of people are only looking at one aspect of their product rather than the sport side. So that's something that they are really dealing with, which is why we put them in the fashion sector rather than in performance. Our brand positioning statement is that Olympia Activewear offers the modern and refined woman an elegant traditional design capable of handling anything from power yoga to an impromptu adventure. Unlike typical athleisure companies, Olympia is created by women for women, utilizing timeless design and high quality fabrics. So we felt like this was very important because it hits on all of those key elements while also revealing the white space of having a woman run company and woman design company.
So now we'll talk about the 4 P's of Olympia Activewear and the opportunities within each of these areas. So for price, Olympia Activewear is pretty competitive within the luxury sportswear market. The price points range from the floor being $70 for bras, and then the ceiling being $170 for leggings. So this is a very consistent premium price segment, and I think that they can continue to make waves in that area. People have more of a appreciation for a higher end luxury product in sportswear now. So going into products, they have an assortment of bodysuits, which are really popular now, sports bras, leggings, lounge shorts, and tops. So these have a variation in style, comfort, fit, though they run small based on some of the consumer reviews online. They have a particular size in their market that they're also focusing on as well. So they have a very neutral palette for their products, which makes it transferable throughout your wardrobe. And then there's an inconsistency within product dyeing and fabrication. So that's one of the issues that the product has that we wanted to highlight here. So for Place, it's distributed online, and it's very selective. The company is very selective with who they actually sell with. So retail locations are hyper local within yoga workout studios, e-retailers, which include really popular ones like Net-a-Porter and Carbon 38, Revolve, and then there are expansion possibilities for national department stores that sell higher end luxury sports wear like Nordstrom's. And then moving on to promotion, currently there is a social promotion strategy that Olympia Activewear has. They have social media accounts that act as sole brand front runners. So that's a gateway of communication for a lot of their campaigns and for their consumers to look at. So their consumers are also localized and they follow current distribution points. So they kind of know where to get and how to purchase. So they are your Net-a-Porter and Farfetch and Revolve buyers. And then they have traditional sale and print promotion objectives that can be met with Shape, Vogue, Elle, Women's Health. These are all new forms that they have not touched yet. Though they're traditional advertising, they've really focused heavily on social media, and we find that there is a great possibility to expand upon their advertising efforts.
Now we have our objectives and the timeline for said objectives. So what we'll talk about is our marketing goal, our strategies, and where we think Olympia Activewear should go from here. So our marketing goal is simple. We want Olympia Activewear to increase brand awareness and recognition by 100% through social media and digital marketing strategies over a 12-month period. And while this may sound like a lot for larger companies, because we only have 40,000 followers on Instagram, that's really a number we should be able to hit well within 12 months, and we really hope to blow it out of the water and go from 40,000 to the hundreds of thousands of followers over the next year. So our first objective that will lead us to our goal is to increase brand awareness by 50% through implementing social media strategies starting the second quarter, which we're about to enter, of 2018 via Olympia Athletic Wear's Instagram account for the next 12 months. And the way that we're going to do that, which is our strategies just below it here, is we're going to create more regular posting. There are plenty of studies done that say when you post to Instagram between X hour and X hour on just Mondays, just Thursdays, whatever day of the week, that it's seen by far more people and you're more likely to have interaction at those times. So that's something we're going to need to focus on. We're also going to utilize the story feature more efficiently. With the latest updates, you can actually poll your followers and say, do you love this look? Are you just, even if it's how's the weather today, like where you're going, interactions like that on a very personal basis really attract customers to your social media. Next, we do want to include sponsored posts. While a lot of people do use the search features to just browse Instagram, there is a better way with these sponsored posts to get in front of people that are already following other athletic wear companies or sports brands that we are similar to, and that will be a generous portion of our budget. And then finally, we'll track the number of followers to determine results. As we said before, the brand's just shy of 40,000 followers. So we're looking for this particular objective to take us from at least 40 to 60,000 followers over the next 12 months. One of our other objectives here is to increase brand recognition by 25% by implementing digital media strategies, also starting in the second quarter of 2018, which will utilize paid advertisements during content for at least a 6-month period. And when we say 6-month period, these are revolving advertisements. So every 6 months, we plan on readjusting and reevaluating how we're doing here. So the strategies behind this are using platforms such as YouTube, Hulu, Twitch, the ESPN app, video playing platforms that have advertisements for free content. And we really want to put these on shows that we believe our target market is watching. So the Olympics, The Bachelor, The Voice, reality television shows that often portray women who we believe want to purchase our items. So fashion shows, anything that's about health and fitness, really. And then we also want to work with medium high profile clients or athletes to be spokespersons for these series of advertisements. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the Under Armour or the Nike advertisements where there's this huge star like Serena Williams like promoting the brand. And we want to do that, but sometimes we feel that celebrities or athletes at that level don't represent exactly the women that want to purchase from our brand. So we want to use those that are more amateur status but have, a following on Instagram already. And then finally, we'll track click-through rates from each of the sites that we sponsor on or are sponsored on, as well as the rate at which our brand is searched over time. So if somebody sees one of these advertisements post March 1st, we want to see how many people search for our website on Google in February 2018 versus March, April, June 2018. And when the first set of advertisements finishes up and the second begin, we want to compare, was the first set of advertisements more effective or the second?
So looking at the marketing timeline, from October to December, we've suggested a customer review or survey period so that the company can get a better understanding of who's talking about or interested in the brand and how they feel about the products to date. And then moving into January, overall brand awareness evaluation, looking at followership on social media, click rate, and also how much the company is being talked about by media outlets as well as consumers. So what is the press looking like on all fronts? And then moving into April through June, advertising branch out. So instead of just running social media campaigns, looking at television and print ads to increase the amount of women being targeted and reached. So looking at health magazines, doing spots on all-female networks, allowing women to become more aware of what's offered by the brand. And then through July through September is a really great time to begin thinking about partnerships or executing those partnerships to increase the amount of people actually looking at the brand. So it's an increase in competitor partnerships. So even making connections with bloggers, tastemakers, influencers to amp up the amount of people that know about Olympia Activewear is going to be really, really important, because the summer months are when people are free, fancy, and footloose. And then moving into the last part of 2019, bringing it back full circle, October through December, increasing sales. So all of these steps before should have informed the increase in sales due to the increase in brand awareness. So the more people know about it, the more people purchase. So this will help us to move into the budget section. So looking at the Olympia Activewear budget, we have assumed and made an educated guess on what the income annually would be now since its inception in 2015. So we assume that at this point they would be making a revenue of $1.5 million on an annual basis without any assumed increases, because we don't know that, because they're a privately owned company and they don't share their revenue publicly. So the strategy is to go for what we know works right now and slowly implement the amount of the percentage for magazine and blog advertisements and then TV advertisements. So 30% of this marketing budget will go towards those two efforts, which are the newer efforts. And then things that we know have worked in the past for the company, like sponsored social media posts, streaming service advertisements, and brand ambassadors. Those things we know are easy access. People use social media all the time. People are streaming more and more often, and brand ambassadors like tastemakers, influencers, and bloggers are always bringing in consumers, because everybody wants to wear what they wear. So these are things that are pretty surefire. So 70% of the marketing budget will go towards those things, and the other 30% will go towards the new strategic ventures that are more traditional, but what the company has not ventured out to do. So totaling $525,000 as a final budget number for this privately owned small company. That is 30% of the revenue, for the budget for the company.
Olympia Activewear is one of the first athleisure brands founded at the beginning of the trend. Although many other brands have actually had a more significant market share and awareness among customers, we really feel like after researching the brand, the current market, and potential customers, that if we implement the several strategies to increase our brand awareness through collaboration, events, and social media marketing, that Olympia Activewear will actually grow within this segment and be able to increase their sales overall. On behalf of Sam, Lyric, and myself, thank you very much for listening, and please let us know if you have any questions.